Ilesa, a historical city located in Osun State, southwest Nigeria. It is also the name of a historical kingdom known as Ijesa, centered on this town. The kingdom is ruled by a monarch bearing the title of Owa Obokun Adimula of Ijesa land. Notable for its rich culture and history, especially in its annals of the Kiriji War, Ilesa is also famous for its well-planned streets filled with structures of Brazilian architecture. This is a city worth exploring, and that is why this time I am in Ilesa to visit some of its ancient church buildings with famous Brazilian architecture. My name is Ijesa. My first place of visit was St. Mary's Pro Cathedral, a Catholic church that sits on a hill in the street of Ifofin, with its gigantic structure visible from various parts of the city. I could not meet with the parish priest at the time of my visit, but was able to speak with a deacon who welcomed me warmly and granted me permission to shoot. I also was lucky to meet with an old member of the church, a Baba, who told me a brief history of this beautiful church. Catholicism was brought to Ilesa by Brother Callistus, a Brazilian slave returnee in the 19th century who converted many indigents and grew the faith. The land upon which this church premises is sited was initially a rejected land, and it had been used for worship of various deities. However, the church prospered on it and has grown ever since, with the city expanding around it.
And 1985, 86, 87, they started the building of this this land in which I was a bicycle there.
The church building itself stands over 100 years old. It features a mix of Anglo-medieval, Gothic and Brazilian architecture. The main feature of this cathedral is the Gothic pointed arch. The pointed arch allowed the structure to be more of a skeleton to hold up the roof. The doors are made of heavy wood with relief art depicting scriptural symbols.
So this is the entrance to St. Mary's Pro Cathedral, and as you can see, these arcs are stylized. They have this European feeling. This kind of feels like I am in England. These windows are glass windows. I'm very sure they were not originally glass, but at some point they could have been stained glass. Oh look, we have stained glass windows over there, which is very popular in medieval churches.
The maintenance of this structure is visible on site, and as at the time of my visit, major renovations were being completed. The church has stood the test of time, and it will continue to. St. Mary's Pro Cathedral stands truly in its divine glory. A man named Vincent Agbebi, whose father was an Ekiti but his mother an Ijesa, and had been taken into slavery, was brought to Ilesa as an agent of the Church Missionary Society in 1859 by Reverend David Henry from Sierra Leone, where most slave returnees had first landed. Agbebi started his mission under a shade in the Owa's palace and was able to increase his fold. Soon, the then Owa of Fokutu converted to Christianity and many followed suit. The first church building was constructed on this same site where the cathedral stands today, and because of the population of the people who had accepted Christianity, they demanded a reverend gentleman to head the church. Reverend M.J. Luke was therefore sent to Ilesa by Bishop S.C. Phillips of the CMS from Ibadan. This was the advent of Christianity in Ilesa. The Cathedral Church of St. John today is a sight to behold. I was overwhelmed by its size and beauty that I immediately took out my phone and took some pictures in front of it.
After Vincent Agbebi was brought to Ilesa by Reverend David Henry, the CMS Christian Society grew, and the Owa as at that time gave them land to construct the first church in Ilesa. This is the site of the first church in Ilesa, although I am not very certain that this is the structure that was put up as at that time, but subsequently this is the structure that we see today. And this structure, as you can see, is a sight to marvel. So this is the Diocese of Ilesa Anglican Communion Cathedral in Ilesa, with a prominent Brazilian structure.
The church premises is neat and spacious and contains a bookshop, a small hall, and a residence for the presiding canons. The building is characterized by tall towers, each having 4 floors aside the ground floor. Its ash, white, and blue paints, coupled with beaming glass windows, makes it visible from a mile. Inside the church is even more beautiful, as the ambience immediately arrests you. The well-polished pews, red aisle, marble floors, golden chandelier all adds a touch of beauty. One thing that caught my attention was the pipe organ, which was still being used in the church. The gigantic musical tool made me imagine the liturgical atmosphere of this place during worship, and I immediately came to the resolve that I would one day come here on a Sunday.
So we are inside this St. John's Anglican Cathedral, and the ambience here is really is heavenly. It feels as though I'm in heaven. I would want to worship here every day if I get the chance to. You can see the chandeliers, the pews, the red carpet, the pillars, columns, and of course the stained glass, which is the peculiar characteristics of European or Christian structures.
Overall, this ancient church doesn't just stand as a symbol of Christian culture and beauty, but also as a monument of proud history of Christianity that was brought to Ilesa by the Church Missionary Society many years ago in 1859. The last church I visited was another Anglican church named Cathedral Church of Holy Trinity, Omofe, Ilesa. Unfortunately, there was no one around to tell me a bit of history of this old church, as the rightful persons were not available. I ended up taking a tour of the place, and yet again I marveled. From its church towers to its bell tower and vicinity, everything about this church spelled ancient. The church is highly maintained, and the edges of these old stone bricks from which it was built are no longer visible, as it had been renovated and painted. It has the common traits of the architecture of many churches in the shape of a cross, tall towers, stained glass windows, carved and heavy-looking wooden doors. From the towers, one could have a good view of the city of Ilesa. The interior of this church is no short of the word spectacular. The marble chairs with red cushions cannot be missed. The pipe organ again towers above the choir stand on the northeastern part of the church. There are visible inscriptions of scriptural verses everywhere around the church, a constant reminder of the Word of God. The peculiar thing I noticed about this church was that its altar was covered in all marble, with symmetrical window arcs bearing stained glass windows. These churches bear uncommon features that cannot be found in modern or new generation churches. Little wonder why they are seen as traditional Christian churches, as they hold on to years and ages of Christian history. If you have never been to an ancient church like this before, I advise you find one of these old churches whose missions were the first to arrive the shores of Africa, and just worship in them to experience Christianity in its core form. My name is Eddie Azanami. See you in the next video.